only to show that I cared how you get on, and what is said here is said in confidence. You know, cried Meg, much alarmed at the thought of what might from her careless speech. I don't tell Rory, with his high and mighty air, as Joe called a certain expression which he occasionally wore, only if Brooke is going to be a barometer, I must mind and have fair weather for him to report. Please don't be offended. I didn't mean to preach or tell tales or be silly. I only thought Joe was encouraging you in a feeling which you'd be sorry for by and by. You are so kind to us. We feel as if you were our brother, and say just what we think. Forgive me. I meant it kindly. And Meg offered her hand with a gesture, both affectionate and timid. Ashamed of his momentary Pickwick. Oh no, not this one. Squeezed the kind little hand and said frankly, I'm the one to be forgiven. I'm cross and have been out of sorts all day. I like to have you to tell me my faults and be sisterly. So don't mind if I am grumpy sometimes. I thank you all the same. Bent on showing that he was not offended, he made himself as agreeable as possible. Wand cotton for Meg, recited poetry to please Joe, choked down cones for Beth, and helped Amy with her ferns, proven himself a fit person to belong to the busy bee society in the midst of an on the domestic habits of turtles. One of those amiable creatures having strolled up from the river. The faint sound of a bell warned them that Hannah had put the tea to draw, and they would just have time to get home to supper. May I come again? Asked Rory. Yes, if you are good and love your book, as the boys in the primer are told you to do, said Meg, smiling. I'll try. Then you may come, and I'll teach you to knit as the Scotchmen do. There is a demand for socks just now, added Joe, waving hers like a big, blue worsted banner as they parted at the gate. That night, when Beth played to Mr. Lawrence in the twilight, Laurie, standing in the shadow of the curtain, listened to the little David, whose cymbal music always quieted his moody spirit, and watched the old man, who sat with his grey head on his hand, thinking tender thoughts of the dead child he had loved so much. Remembering the conversation of the afternoon, the boy said to himself, with the resolve to make the sacrifice cheerfully, I'll let my castle go, and stay with the dear old gentleman while he needs me, for I am all he has. Chapter 14. Secrets. Joe was very busy in the garret, for the October days began to grow chilly, and the afternoon was short. For 2 or 3 hours the sun lay warmly in the high window, showing Joe seated on this old sofa, writing busily, with her papers spread out upon a trunk before her, while Scrabble the pet rat promenaded the beams overhead, accompanied by his oldest son, a fine young fellow who was evidently very proud of his whiskers. Quite absorbed in her work, Jo scribbled away till the last page was felt when she signed her name with a flourish and threw down her pen, exclaiming, "There, I've done my best. If this won't suit, I shall have to wait till I can do better." Laying back on the sofa, she read the manuscript carefully through, making dashes here and there, and putting in many exclamation points, which looked like little balloons. Then she tied it up with a smart red ribbon and sat a minute looking at it with a sober, wistful expression, which plainly showed how earnest her work had been. Joe's scalp hair here was an old tin kitchen which hung against the wall. She kept her papers and a few books safely shut away from Scrabble, who, being likewise of a literary turn, was fond of making a circulating library of such books as were left in his way. By eating the leaves from this tin receptacle, Jo produced another manuscript, and putting both in her pocket, crept quietly downstairs, leaving her friends to nibble her pens and taste her ink. She put on her hat and jacket as noiselessly as possible, and going to the back entry window, got out upon the roof of a low porch, swung herself down to the grassy bank, and took a roundabout way to the road. Once there, she composed herself, hailed a passing omnibus, but no, is this one? Okay, let me see, 7 minutes, and rolled away to town, looking very merry and mysterious. If anyone had been watching her, he would have thought her movements decidedly peculiar, for on alighting she went off at a great pace till she reached a certain number in a certain busy street. Found the place with some difficulty. She went into the doorway, looked up the dirty stairs, and, after standing stock still a minute, suddenly dived into the street and walked away as rapidly as she came. This manoeuvre she repeated several times, to the great amusement of a black-eyed young gentleman lounging in the window of the building opposite. On returning for the third time, Jo gave herself a shake, pulled her hat over her eyes, and walked up the stairs, looking as if she were going to have all her teeth out. There was a dentist's sign among others, which adorned the entrance, and after staring a minute at the pair of artificial jewels, which slowly opened and shut to draw attention to a fine set of teeth, the young gentleman put on his coat, took his hat, and went down to post himself in the opposite doorway, saying with a smile and a shiver, "It is like her to come alone, but if she has a bad time, she'll need someone to help her home." In 10 minutes, Jo came running downstairs with a very red face and the general appearance of a person who had just passed through a trying ordeal of some sort. When she saw the young gentleman, she looked anything but pleased, and passed him with a nod, but he followed, asking with an air of sympathy, "Do you have a bad time?" "Not very." "You got through quickly?" "Yes, thank goodness." "Why did you go alone?" Didn't want anyone to know." "You're the oldest fellow I ever saw. How many did you have out?" Jo looked at her friend as if she did not understand him, then began to laugh as if mightily amused at something. There are two which I want to have come out, but I must wait a week. What are you laughing at? You are up to some mischievous, Joe, said Laurie, looking mystified. So are you? What were you doing there up in the billiard saloon? Begging your pardon, ma'am, it wasn't a billiard saloon, but a gymnasium, and I was taking a lesson in fencing. I like this one. I'm glad of that. Why? You can teach me, and then when we play Hamlet, you can be lettuce, and we'll make a fine thing of the fencing scene. Laurie burst out with a hearty boy's laugh, which made several pass-by smile in spite of themselves. I'll teach you. Whether we play Hamlet or not, it is grand fun and will straighten you up capitally. But I don't believe that was your reason for saying I'm glad in that decided way. Was it now? No, I was glad that you were not in the saloon because I hope you never go to such places, do you? Not often. I wish you wouldn't. There's no harm, Joe. I have a billiards at home, but it is no fun unless you have good players. So as I'm fond of it, I come sometimes and have a game with Ned Moffat or some of the other fellows. Oh dear, I'm so sorry, for you'll get to liking it better and better, liking it better and better, and will waste time and money and grow like those dreadful boys. I did hope you'd say respectable and be a satisfaction to your friends, said Joe, shaking her head. Can't a fellow take a little innocent amusement now and then without losing his respectability? Asked Laurie, looking nettled. That depends upon how and where he takes it. I don't like Ned and his set, and wish you'd keep out of it. Mother won't let us have him at our house, though he wants to come. And if you grow like him, she won't be willing to have us frolic together as we do now. Won't she? Asked Laurie anxiously. No, she'd bear fashionable young men, and she'd shut us all up in the bandboxes rather than have us associated with them. Well, she needn't get out her bandboxes yet. I'm not a fashionable party and don't mean to be, but I do like harmless larks now and then, don't you? Yes, nobody minds them. So lark, child, will you? Or there will be end of all our good times. I'll be a double distilled saint. I can't bear saints. Just be a simple, honest, respectful boy, and we'll never desert you. I don't know what I should do if you acted like Mr. King's son. He had plenty of money but didn't know how to spend it, and got tipsy and gambled and run away and forged his father's name, I believe, and was altogether horrid. You think I'm likely to do the same? Much obliged. No, I don't. Oh dear, no. But I hear people talking about money being such a temptation, and I sometimes wish you were poor. I shouldn't worry then. Do you worry about me, Joe? A little, when you look moody and discontented, as you sometimes do, for you've got such a strong will. If you once get started wrong, I'm afraid it would be hard to stop you. Laurie walked in silence for a few minutes, and Joe watched him, wishing she had held her tongue for his eyes looked angry, though his lips smiled as if at her warnings.